So you've decided now is the time to switch to an electric car, but you've been knocked for six with all these buzzwords and you haven't Scooby-Doo what any of them mean. Right up to the point where you even wonder whether an electric car is right for you. Well, in this series of videos, we're going to break down those barriers. We're going to run through all the jargon, the regulations and charging to help you make an informed decision about whether it's right to make the switch now. The last thing left to do is introduce myself. My name is Max Spooner. We are SMC Motor Group. This is a whiteboard that I stole from the manager's office, and this is how to buy an electric car 101. So the first thing we're going to talk about is electrification. Now this is very different from a full electric car. Allow me to explain. So basically, electrification involves anything that has an engine and an electric motor. So if we start with ICE, which is your internal combustion engine, then move down the order and basically think of it as you go down the list, the bigger the battery gets and the more the car can rely on it. So the next on the list would be a mild hybrid electric vehicle, or a MHEV. So this is typically a very small battery that usually sits in the boot of the car, and this helps with the ancillaries of helping the engine to run. The engine will constantly run, and at no point can you drive on an electric motor. It's purely there to make the engine more efficient. Moving down the list, you then have HEV. Now, sometimes these are referred to as self-charging hybrids, and that is their correct terminology. The idea is that the electric motor can be charged with the battery from the internal combustion engine, therefore giving it enough power to be able to run small distances, usually up to a mile or so, at very low speed before the engine will kick in. If you want to do any meaningful running though, you have to go for a plug-in hybrid, or HEV, as they are also known. So a plug-in hybrid will traditionally have a battery that's about 10 times the size of a HEV, and the idea is that you can get about 20 to 40 miles of pure electric running depending on the engine and battery combination. Now with a PHEV you can also self-charge like a HEV, however a PHEV won't be able to charge the battery to its maximum because it's about 10 times the size. The engine simply won't be able to generate enough charge, hence why you need to plug them in. However, the idea is that by plugging them in, you'll be saving money compared to filling your car with petrol, because now you're going to get much better MPG because there'll be long periods of time where the engine isn't running at all. It is, however, more expensive than a HEV and a MHEV and an ICE. So as we move down the list, they get more expensive until you get to the very bottom, which is BEV, or battery electric vehicle, or EVs, or just simply a full electric car as you and I would know it. These cars don't have engines at all. They are purely battery driven. The benefit is, but by charging it, you can have between 150 and 350 miles, and everything is basically comes from the national grid. These generally are the most expensive cars, and they're not for everybody, so make sure you follow on as we delve in further to work out whether or not a full battery electric vehicle is right for you, or whether a PHEV, a HEV, a MHEV, or even still the traditional ICE engine is better. Now I am going to throw a curveball into the mix, and that is bi-fuel. Now bi-fuel is not electrified in the slightest, and you'll only find these on Dacias. But basically bi-fuel is petrol and liquefied petroleum gas, or LPG as we better know it. And the idea of this is it helps get longer range, lower emissions, and it's cheaper at the pump compared to petrol. At the time of filming, it's around 70 to 90 pence a litre depending on where you go. Now the idea is it makes that the cars are cheaper than your traditional hybrid vehicles, but it does mean that you won't be able to run the car on the Eurotunnel. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to check out the other videos in this series.